Hello and welcome back to Advanced Hwoarang Lessons. I got one question for you. Aren't you tired of your opponent, preventing you from getting mix-ups? Right after a while standing 4-4 situations, you stand switch down 3-4 and it just doesn't go in. Their punishment is really, really good. And sometimes the punish hurts even more. What if I told you there's a way to make that situation safer? That's right. Arm yourself with Combat Low. LFS down back 4 or LFS down 4 for short in Tekken 8. This low will only give you a while standing 4 or whatever their 12 frame punish is. Call this number now so that you can use LFS down back 4. No. Rolls intro. So, LFS down back 4 is a 20 frame low that comes from Left Flamingo. This low on hit is +4. And as I mentioned earlier, is -12. That's the huge point, or like the main thing that makes this move really, really good. Because while it is -12 and your reward is +4 into, 17 damage, you do get something. You get follow-ups. That's 33 damage right over there on counter hit. That's 36. That's, well, we'll get to it. That does a lot of damage. And then you get that as well. 44. So it gets a lot of damage all around. Its frame data is just perfect for a lot of situations wherein you want to do something like 2-3 forward and then down 3-4, and then the moment your opponent ducks that, you kind of like just pressing RFS F4 to save yourself, or RFS back 4. So instead of that, you could do 3 forward and then down back 4, and your opponent's only forced to take a down, a while standing 4 as a punish. So it's just a really, like, it's the perfect backup or even like main low tool that you could use to cover for a lot of situations where you would want to do down 3-4. So let's go over it one by one. Well, I don't need to talk about the on block anymore. Well, I guess the only thing on block that's important is that Akuma still launches you, because again, down 2 is 12 frames. That's about it. I think that's the only thing you need to know on block. And it's a standing low. So Marduk up forward 1-2, that's going to punish you as well. So against those matchups, remember that. For the on hit, remember this is +4. So again, with every +4 means checking out these things. These are most important things every time you're playing Hwoarang: sidestep and backdash. And the first thing we want to cover is backdash. What can an average backdash beat? Because Hwoarang has an average backdash. So down back 4, we safe. But of course, against characters with better backdashes, that is not safe. How about DF1+2? Alright, we good. Can we use DF1? We can't use DF1. You could DF1-3 and the second hit will connect, but just know during that whiff period, you could get launched. So what else can you use? You could, well, not FF3. You could do the jabs. That locks them in straight up, which is perfect. Down back 4, always the low I'll recommend in a lot of situations. And a backlash. If you don't want to use backlash for a homing move, you can always just RFF DF3. So those sound like really good options. And most especially because you get the RFF jabs right after down back 4. So you can really just lock them into a +7 scenario or a +2 scenario. Good stuff. So that's on backdash, right? So, but backdashing isn't the only way an opponent can beat this option. So let's boot up sidestep left here. Again, results will vary depending on like the sidestep you're fighting. So again, bigger sidesteps are going to avoid a couple of these things. But the RFF jabs for the most part will even beat like good sidesteps and down back 4. So obviously your mids, as you know, Hwoarang, they don't exist. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. Your +4. This is against sidestep left. So your 3 mids, your 3 fastest mids in that situation don't work. Of course, 3 fastest mids that are safe because you have 14 frame mid. Yeah, but the full string doesn't even connect, so you don't even think about that. So that's against sidestep left. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the jabs will lock them immediately. And down back 4. So at least if they're stepping towards that side, you have that covered. Okay, we're talking about moves that are really, really fast to use. Because we talk about slower ones, that's when backlash comes in. You're protected by the armor, but just no power crushes lose to grabs and lows. And faster covering moves if they do like a 1-2 while they sidestep and then duck. And then RFF DF3. Again, do the math for that. That's a +4 minus 20. So you're coming out at 16 frames, more or less the same frames as this. So pretty common situation for Hwoarang. And then if you open up sidestep right to check it out, same mids. Well, I guess they're still losing. DF4 is still losing. DF1 still losing. Does DF1 lose? Okay, that's when they're different. So DF1 +2, if they're stepping towards the right, it has your back. So it's an option you can throw out to check which side they're stepping. Now, as always, the jabs should be doing their jobs just like that. And then down back 4. And of course, once we go to the slower moves, again, homing moves are, well, they're homing moves for a reason. But there's another mid that I kind of like missed out. That is RFF back 2. Now, does RFF back 2 win? No, it loses a sidestep left and it loses to sidestep right. And this one, they even get your back. It's worse. So don't think about RFF back 2 in this situation if you were not able to prevent them from stepping, like making them second guess stepping, like make them focus more on like backdashing. But there's still, you know, interesting options you can run here. That's not the only one. What you could actually run is my favorite, well, not standing 3, but you know where it's going. Well, not forwards 3. Instant wall standing 3. Yeah, that could work because this is going to cover almost everything. Again, this move is pretty much pseudo homing. Links in the description below for everything about wall standing 3. But yeah, you have to make sure your execution is on point to run instant wall standing 3. And conversely, that also means you can do an instant wall standing 4-4. Of course, if you get it wrong, you're gonna get a 4-4. But it looks like it does lose the sidewalk right. Does it lose the sidewalk left? It looks like it does lose the sidewalk left. Hopefully, it does beat the sidestep options. But the second hit will catch. That's great. That's good news. And it does beat sidestep left. So you could technically interchange DF1 +2 and then instant wall standing 4-4 to cover the other side. But again, wall standing 3 covers both. The important part is, while it does cover both, how much frames do you actually have when you do it? So we're going to record it right over here. We're going to do LFS down back 4 into an instant wall standing 3 as fast as I can. And you're going to straight up like interrupt down back wall standing 3 to see how many frames we actually have to work with. So it's ready here. So you step into a 1-2. Oh, you can't step into a 1-2. You cannot step into a 1-2. Can I step into a jab? Ah, there you go. I can. That's not even a full step. That feels like a micro step. But there you go. Once I get a full step into a jab, that's when the opponent loses. You see? This option sounds fantastic. Instant wall standing 3. More instant wall standing 3. More! Yeah. So that's your options pretty much on hit versus sidestep and backdash. So it's, you know, it's doable. It's workable. Now, let's talk about counter hit. So if the opponent does get hit by this move, again, they fall to the ground and you're guaranteed follow-ups. I have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 follow-ups that you can work with. So the first one, as I mentioned earlier, is back 3. If you do it instantly, again, all of this is null and void when they get spiked down by counter hit LFS down back 4. So you're only worrying about all these options. And for the most part, I can show you all the options one by one. You're not going to get a relaunch on this, not unless you delay it to a certain extent. So if you do it right off the bat, you're just going to get guaranteed damage, which is good. Again, this is like the most consistent option for LFS down back 4. And as you can see right there, front roll, we're also going to beat side roll left, right? Again, pretty easy. Just hold up to cancel out of RFF to do it. Even if they do a wake up mid kick, I believe this is when it launches. Yeah, there you go. That's when it does launch, and you're going to have extra damage if they decide to, for whatever reason, press a button after counter hit down back 4. And this is not even with a delay. There's no delay here, because if I try to do a delay versus stand up, there you go. That's when you get the relaunch. But if you're doing it immediately straight up, those are the only ones you're relaunching. The next option that is good right after LFS down back 4 on counter hit is right plasma blade. So not just the left plasma blade, the right plasma blade will do and yield a good amount of damage as well. So the first one was 33 damage. This one is 36 damage. Has the same, more or less the same situations. The only thing you have to worry about right plasma blade is that this has a tendency to whiff, depending on like how far it got hit. Because while they did buff this move, it also just doesn't work sometimes. So that's what makes again, LFF back 3 the more consistent one. But as you can see, it doesn't even launch the wake up kicks at all. It just gives you the 36 damage and you're on your way. The next option is FF3, LFF FF3. So I have standing guard and guard all on. That's the important part. And then we're just gonna straight up try to do FF3. So you do FF3, same thing. There you go, 44. They're awakened to 44 damage. Although I feel like this is legit, but just put it in the comments of this video if you were able to block it. Then just gonna like cross out this whole section from the video, or not. I'll leave it. But for the most part, it does seem to connect right after. So that's against wake up backwards. This one's against stand up. You have to do it as fast as you can to make it connect. So that's against front roll. We move into side roll now. This is side roll left. And that's it, loses to side roll left. So you're not going to get your, again, 44 damage. Or 39 damage. Of course, that's on the side roll. And there's going to be double on the counter hit for the wake up mid kicks. Or the wake up kicks, all of them. Like, you're just dealing a ton of damage. If you FF3 right after. That's 48. Wow. But of course, that is if it is legitimate. But for the most part, I think it is. It's like the last time I labbed this was like years ago. And I just double checking it here again with all those options. It looks like it's still going in with the stand guard and guard all. So that's the next option you can run. I always thought that was the strongest one that you had available. But apparently it is right foot forward FF3. That's 55 damage if you're following up with back 3 right afterwards, right? So you get the counter hit down back 4. But you're actually getting 61 damage off it. And that's going to work on all options. That was wake up backwards. We're going to now change it up to stand up. Into FF3. Wow. It's going in. Remember, stand guard and guard all are all there. I could even just change this to stand guard just to make sure it's just standing into a guard. They're not avoiding that. That's versus stand up. How about against front roll? Okay, you get the 37 damage, and that's how much damage you typically get right after RFF FF3 if they stay on the floor or if they do a front roll. What about side roll left? So you're still getting your 37 damage and okizeme, which is good. Now if they do the wake up kicks, that's when they're in a world of pain because that's going to register as a counter hit, and now you're at 65 damage. That's right, 65 damage. If you follow up with FF3, which is the strongest ender right after. But if you opt to go for a back 3, you're going to be 1 point away from 60, which is 59 damage. Almost done here. Following up. Yep, still being the recovery kick and still probably beating the spring kick. Yeah, so this is the better option. This is the option you should be running right after combat low, LFS down back 4. Because your opponent kind of just dies for it. Now, of course, if you found another option that is as, you know, good as these, I highly recommend you also put that in the comments as well. But that's the one, those are the options I know. Again, to recap, that's counter hit back 3. Oh, no, back 3 right after counter hit LFS down back 4. RFF F4, FF3, LFF FF3, and then RFF FF3. Now, small tidbit, this isn't about down back 4, but it is for situations that will put the opponent on the floor on knockdown right after and transition Hwoarang to RFF. Like, does RFF FF3, is it the de facto option in those situations? The answer to that is apparently no. So RFF back 2, if the opponent does get counter hit by this, then you will transition back to RFF. And if you FF3, you kind of are just getting guaranteed damage all the time. So again, you're sticking with your You're 37 damage. So that's again versus stand-up, versus front roll. Another side roll over here. Just showing all the options. So you can like ×2 speed it on the YouTube player. If this video found you on YouTube, because if it found you on FB, well, you can't ×2 it. They don't have that. But it just hits. That's all it does. And even against spring kick, all it does is just hits. Because over here on back 2, back 3, or right plasma blade would be the better options. Because again, right, you get the delay on it. You will eventually get a... well, depending on the option they run, you'll get a relaunch on it, which is big. And that the same applies to RFF 4.3. You know, if this counter hits for you, because if it does counter hit, they're really, really close, and you can get an FF3 back 3. It's the same thing. They have the same story. So it's on LFS down back 4. That, what do you call it? RFF FF+3 is like your best friend on counter hit. So going back to, you know, certain situations such as this, and it's just like rounding it all up. It's just a safer low for the most part. Like any situation where you want to down 3-4 and you want a different low in left to continue pressure, just combat low. Just combat that with a low. That's right. That's going to be the title of this video. Combating punishes with a low. Anything. Think about any sequence where you're in left and you're like, or you stand switch back into left. I want a down 3-4 for continued pressure. No, next time, I'm a down back 4 for continued pressure. And if they're blocking that already, that should be an indication to you that with 3 extra frames, they're still blocking it. So if they still block this one, which is 3 lesser frames, because again, this comes out at 17 or 16, so 3 or 4 frames, that means their defense is pretty solid. So if you want to keep checking, you could LFS down back 4. That's everything I know in the move. So that's all the cheese I have for this advanced lessons. It's going to show, the next advanced lesson is going to be on the other side of the screen. So again, I've been Frontier, and thank you for watching.